Hello students, welcome to new session. In this session, we will discuss about designing a signal conditioning circuit. You must have seen few circuits like here, one is shown. It's a circuit which has been designed to amplify a sound signal. So we will not amplify, we will filter it, we will manipulate it, we will increase its amplitude. So it means we perform many tasks before it is being fed to the speaker side. So from microphone to speaker side, there is a process which is known as signal conditioning circuit. So let's discuss about some basic techniques about signal conditioning and its related circuits. So before going to some complex circuit, let's start with a very simple linear output circuit. I can ask you to design a circuit. Two input signals, one input signal is X and another input signal is C, such that their output, that is Y, should be Mx plus C, where M is amplification factor. So it means in this case we have two input signals, one is X and another is C. So if I to design the circuit, if you recall, we have one adder circuit with us. Sorry, let me erase this. Adder circuit, in which we have discussed that if an operational amplifier is used in inverting configuration like this, and that too in the feedback, so we can use one feedback resistance RF. So if this is V0, we can simply ground the non-inverting terminal. So if this is V1, this is V2, and this resistance is R1, this is R2, this is our feedback resistance. So in this circuit, V0 will be equal to negative sign because we are using inverting input. It will be equal to RF divided by R1, RF by R1 multiplied by the input voltage in the R1 side, that is V1, plus another amplification, that is RF upon R2 into V2. Okay, so using this circuit we will try to build the previous question, that is Y equal to Mx plus C. So if you imagine, let's V1 will be our X, okay, and V2 will become the C. In that case, what we need here is we need V0, that is Y, equal to X times the M. So it means the ratio of RF and R1 should be M. So it will be M. So what will I do? I'll keep this RF value equal to, let's say, M times the R1. So if R1 is 10 kilo ohm, then this RF will become equal to M times the 10 kilo ohm. Okay. Now the question is, what about C? We want C as it is in the equation plus C. So it means the gain for C is 1. So we can write down, that is RF and R2 combination should be, that is the ratio of RF to R2 is 1. We have already decided that RF value should be M into R1. So we will keep R2 equal to M into R1. Okay. So this is the final circuit for Y equal to Mx plus C. So this is our Y, that is output voltage, will equal to Mx plus C, where X is also an input signal and C is also an input signal. But there is a small issue is here. Still one issue is there, because what we have achieved is, that is with the negative sign. Here it is. Okay, so how to handle this? We can further connect this output to an inverting amplifier with gain 1. So again we can connect an operational amplifier with positive terminal to grounded or non-inverting terminal grounded. We can insert a resistors here of, let's say, 1 kilo ohm, and we can connect another resistance in the feedback of the same value, that is 1 kilo ohm. That will be the final, that is V output, or V, let me write down Vy. So this Vy is actually equal to Mx plus C. So let me rewrite this final circuit what we have designed for this, and redraw the final circuit with the final values. So we have one operational amplifier, non-inverting terminal is grounded because we are going to use negative feedback. So one input resistance which is equal to, let's say, 10 kilo ohm. So I am now designing the circuit Y equal to Mx plus C, or we can assume one value of M, let it be anything, 10 times, 50 times, or 5 times. So we can also assume let this is be 5 times. So it is 5x plus C. So whatever the signal X voltage, that will get multiplied 5 times. So to get it 5 times multiplied, we will use an RF value of equal to 5 times the R1, that is it should be 50 kilo ohm. Similarly, we will use another branch for the signal C, and in this case the value of this resistance should be the same as we have the value of RF, that is 50 kilo ohm. So here we got the negative of 5x plus C. So to again invert this signal, I'll convert one more resistance of 1 kilo ohm, negative feedback, positive input grounded, and this will be connected through an RF of same value, that is 1 kilo ohm. So 1 kilo ohm by 1 kilo ohm, it will gives us gain of 1. So finally what we got is Y. So this is the final circuit of linear output signal conditioning, in which we have one amplification factor M and another input is added as it is. So let's see few complex circuit or practical circuit what we need to interface in signal conditioning, system design, or even in your capstone projects. So here is a statement: design a signal conditioning circuit to interface a temperature sensor, and we have already given that which temperature sensor we have to use, that is LM335, to analog to digital converter of a microcontroller. The temperature range is also given, that is 0 degree centigrade to 50 degree centigrade, and the range of ADC is also given, that is 0 to 5 volt. Now from the data sheet of LM335, we know that LM335 gives us 10 millivolt for increment of 1 degree in Kelvin. Okay. However, for designing purpose, the range is given in centigrade, that is 0 degree centigrade to 50 degree centigrade. So we have to design a circuit, a signal conditioning circuit, such that we are able to interface the sensor LM335 with the microcontroller through the ADC. Okay, now two steps we have to take care is the range of temperature is 0 to 50 degree centigrade, and ADC will gives us output from 0 to 5 volt, and in fact the ADC will also take the input voltage from 0 to 5 volt. So it means whatever temperature is coming to us, that temperature should be first converted into this range, that is 0 to 5 volt. Let's discuss few things about LM335. Then we discuss the circuit conditioning, parameters, and then we'll discuss circuit in stepwise. First thing you should know about LM335 is it is a 3-pin IC. Central pin is output, third pin is ground, and first pin is adjust. Now first pin, when I say first pin, it means the printing portion of this IC is towards you, that is it is facing towards us, and the most left side pin is adjust pin, central pin is output pin, and the right pin is ground pin. This is the symbolic representation of temperature sensor. Why it is so in terms of Zener diode? Because this temperature sensor, whenever it is connected between ground and 5 volt, adjustment means any voltage whatever we want to have, it may be 10 volt, 15 volt, but usually we keep this battery as 5 volt. So if this is 5 volt battery, the output will be directly corresponding to the ambient temperature. So ambient temperature, if it in kelvins, it will gives us multiplied by that particular degree in kelvins by 10 millivolts, because we know its output is 10 millivolt per degree Kelvin. So at normal temperature, if it is 27 degrees centigrade, it will become 300 Kelvin. Okay, so in that case the output will be 300 Kelvin multiplied by 10 millivolt, that is 3000 millivolt or 3 volt at 27 degrees centigrade. That is the range of this IC. So that is why we have represented this as a Zener diode, which is known for as a constant voltage source when connected in a circuit. That is, Zener diode is represented as a constant voltage source. So this LM335 comes into two encapsulations, one in plastic encapsulation, that is TO92 package. This is known as plastic encapsulation. One comes under in metallic encapsulation like TO46. There is a small difference when we use metallic encapsulation. Metallic encapsulation has a better time response, that is, change in temperature in ambient environment is sensed very fast than the plastic encapsulation. Okay, so that's all for LM335. This is again its equivalent circuit. We can represent with this Zener diode, because we can say this is the terminal voltage, because voltage is fixed at any given temperature. So VT is actually output voltage of this LM335, which is a function of T, that is temperature. And we know this equation, that is 10 millivolt per degree of Kelvin change in the outside temperature. This is input-output relationship. So we can get this information from the data sheet of any temperature sensor or transducer. If you want to connect some other transducer, you can find out similar plot where you can get the slope between temperature and the final output. Now here on the x-axis we have two ranges, either in centigrade or in Kelvin. As per data sheet we have been given, that is, this temperature is calibrated for Kelvin, that is at 0 degrees Kelvin the output is 0. At 273 Kelvin the output will be 10 millivolt multiplied by the Kelvin, whatever Kelvin is. So 10 millivolt multiplied by 273 will become 2.73 volts. Similarly, 50 degrees centigrade will be 323 Kelvin, and accordingly the output voltage is 3.23 volts. So this is the complete slope of this input output characteristic for LM335. LM335. So this is the voltage given as per change in temperature. I can say the output voltage is temperature dependent. So I can say my slope of this input output relationship is 10 millivolt per degree in Kelvin. I can also get one inference if I want to convert this equation into centigrade rather than Kelvin. My equation will be in centigrade. Why I'm interested in centigrade? Because when we started the definition of problem, it was stated that temperature variation is 0 degree centigrade to 50 degree centigrade. So it means in the problem definition, temperature variation is given in centigrade. So we will do small modification from Kelvin to centigrade. So at 0 degree centigrade, what will be the output? At 0 degree centigrade, output is 2.73. It means whatever the temperature get multiplied by 10 due to its slope, 10 millivolt per degree centigrade, but we have to add 2.73 volt even if it is at 0 degree centigrade, because if I multiplied by 0 here it will become 0, but I want total voltage to be equal to 2.73 volts. So that is why I have added this particular DC value. So this is my final equation which I have to implement it on my operational amplifier circuit design. It is very similar to the equation what we have started with, that is y equal to mx plus c. So this is now mx and c. So c is now constant DC voltage. X is whatever voltage we are getting with the temperature with multiplying factor of 10. So 10 is our m. So you can easily correlate this equation with y equal to mx plus c. Now let's see again as a holistic what our design should be look like. So the relationship is linear now. We know in temperature it is 10 millivolt per degree centigrade plus 2.73 volt. So we will build our circuit around this linear relationship. So there are two things we should keep in our mind. That is, why do we need a signal conditioning circuit? Because whatever output we are getting here is from the range of 2.73 to 3.23 volt only. क्योंकि we know that the minimum temperature which is going to have on the initial side is 0 degree centigrade, and the maximum temperature which can have or which may vary is up to 50 degree centigrade. So corresponding to this range is fixed. So we have to design circuit corresponding to this. Now corresponding to this means we want whenever the Vt is 2.73 volts, output of this circuit should be 0 volt, and whenever we have 3.3 volt input to this signal conditioning circuit, output should be 5 volts. So this range should be 0 to 5 volt corresponding to this range. So that is the main purpose of this signal conditioning circuit. That is, we want V0 from 0 volt to 5 volt so that we can easily and effectively use our microcontroller. There is another very important thing. If I will not use the signal conditioning circuit, what will happen? You may ask, because we have already analog input with us, that is 2.73 to 3.23. Yes, we can use as it is to the microcontroller for A to D, but there is one problem. The A to D will use only a band of its digitization. Let me tell you more detail here. This is 2.73 and 3.23 range, but actually it can operate between 0 to 5 volts. So it means we are using only this particular band of A to D values. So if 0 this 0 volt corresponds to 00 hexadecimal in digits in digital, and 5 volt corresponds to FF hexadecimal, we will be limited by very small number of digital bits for this particular 1 volt. Okay, however, if we use this signal conditioning circuit, we can expand this range from this 1 volt bandwidth to 5 volt range. So it means we can use A to D 5 times better. Okay, if A to D in this case is using only this particular area, we may have output from a given value of, let's say if it is 2.73, the output will be around its MSB, because if it is 2.5 volt, that is half of it, output will be F0. So its range will become very limited up to 3.2. So it may be, I'm just giving you rough estimate, you can calculate on your own. It could be FA or FB, something like this. Okay, this is the very limited range of output that we can get if I fed this output directly to the microcontroller. So that is the major advantage of using signal conditioning circuit, that is we are increasing this 1 volt range to this 0 to 5 volt range using this signal conditioning circuit. I hope you understood the need of signal conditioning circuit. Now let's see how to do this. Now the next stage is, we already know that we have to convert 2.73 volts into 0 volt and 3.23 volt into 5 volt. Now our circuit should be such that it is able to convert this value into 0 and this value into 5 volt. So first of all, we will trace our input range. That is, our input range is this much. So it is only 0.5 volt range in which the temperature output will vary, that is in which the LM335's output will vary, that is only 0.5. But we have to vary this small range into a larger band of volts, that is 0 to 5 volt. So here 0 to 5 volt, that is 5 volt. 3.23 to 2.73 is 0.5. It means now the slope is 10. Okay, and the second thing is, we have to see that for 2.73 value, if I multiply it by 10, 2.73 into 10, what will become? 27.3 volt. So it means this is my offset. So I'll minus this value and I make one equation. Now if you put any value from this range, within this range, you will get whatever we want, that is 0 to 5 volt. Let's say put this value, initial value 2.73. If I put here 2.73, it will become 27.3. So final output will become 0 volt. If I insert 3.23 here, 3.23 multiplied by 10 become 32.3 minus 27.3, it become 5 volt. And any value in between this, let's say my input is at any time, let's say 3 volt. So in that case, V2 will be equal to 3 into 10, that is 30. So it becomes 30 minus 27.3, which is equal to, I think it is 2.7 volt. So it means we got a linear range of values corresponding to each value of this range. We got each value in the output side, that is 0 to 5 volt. So now our circuit must be able to handle this equation. We already know Vt in terms of that y equal to mx plus c, and this is another y equal to mx plus c. Okay, so here m is 10 and c becomes 27.3 volt. Okay, students, so now we will start designing our circuit. Vt with this DC voltage we have to subtract from this voltage. So for this 10 time gain, we can easily design a circuit where, let's say this is Vt at this terminal. So if this resistance is 10 kilo ohm and this is 100, so through this circuit what we got, amplification or gain equal to 10. So this is our m. As I told you, this is y equal to mx plus c. In that case, this will become our m. So now the gain has been already achieved to the tune of 10. So it means if we have an input voltage from this side is 2.73, it will get multiplied with this 10 and become 27.3 volts, but we want it 0. So it means we have also take care of this particular thing. So as we done in the very first or second slides, y equal to mx plus c circuit, now we can add another DC component here, or you can say through some resistance we have to add some voltage value V2 and R2 in such a way that the final combination gives us this much of voltage. Okay, but this should be with the opposite sign. We'll discuss later that how this sign can be implemented, but first let's see work on 27.3 volts. So we have to see that RF upon R2, that is RF upon R2 multiplied by this voltage V2 should be equal to 27.3 volt. So that is what we are interested in. Okay, so we will see some value, maybe it's 12 volt or 15 volt, because we already get gain. If I put 10 kilo ohm here, then the gain automatically become 10 times. Okay, so 2.73 volt into 10 will gives us 27.3 volt permanently constant available here. Okay, but we will see whether we are able to provide 27 or 2.7 or how much voltage should be kept here. Usually, since we have VCC already available with us, that is 15 volt, so instead of creating a new voltage source for this purpose, it is better to use already available source with us, that is 15 volt. So if I know RF is already, that is 100 kilo ohm, V2 I know that is 15 volts. So now I can calculate the value of R2 such that the final combination gives me 27.3 volts. So let's see the complete circuit, and we will also see how to convert these two voltages to different sign, that is this should be of the positive and this should be of negative. If I go by this only, you will see that we are providing these two voltage at the negative or inverting terminal. So it means whatever will be the output will be Vt into 10 times of gain multiplied by 10 plus this particular signal. Let's say this voltage with this combination is VDC. So this is VDC. Right now both have the same sign, that is positive and positive. So if we want to convert one as negative, there are two options. Either we connect one inverting amplifier here, keep its positive terminal grounded and connect this V2 at negative terminal and then provide this output here, keeping this R and this R same. So this V2 will become at this point minus V2 and ultimately we get here negative VDC. Another option is what has been proposed in our book is much better option due to two reasons. I'll tell you in the next slide. So this is the circuit given in the book. Now why this is better than our proposed circuit? There are two reasons for that. He used, rather than putting op-amp here at this point, he suggested putting up an op-amp here, that is between LM335 and this terminal where we are getting VT. So two benefits are, number one, we are interfacing our transducer with our next signal conditioning circuit through an operational amplifier, which is ultimately giving us a buffer or impedance matching. That is, isolation is being provided, or I can say buffer amplifier. So this op-amp is working as buffer amplifier. Along with that we have provided this input as inverting terminal. Why buffer amplifier? Because RF and R1 are of the same value. So whatever signal, that is Vt, we are getting here, same is the output because of RF to the ratio of R1 is same. So we are getting Vt, but since this has been applied at inverting terminal, so we are getting minus Vt. Okay, so this is our second objective. First objective was impedance matching between transducer and the operational amplifier signal conditioning circuit. Other advantage is we are getting negative signal here, so that whenever it's again get to inverting terminal, this Vt will become positive. Okay, and this particular EDC, what we are talking about now, in the last slide we have discussed that we can calculate the value of R2 by using the equation Rf divided by R2 into V2 such that this value should be 27.3 volts. So this value is 54.9 kilo ohm. So if we use this, it will be almost around 1.8 or something like this, and when we multiply it by this 15, so it will gives us exactly 27.3 volt. Okay, so now what we get is we have summing amplifier. It is summation of Vt and this EDC, okay, which is ultimately 27.3 volts. But since we have applied at inverting terminal, so in response to this, what we are getting is minus 10, that is amplification due to this Rf upon R1 multiplied by Vt. Why I have a minus? Because this minus Vt is here, so this is minus 10 into Vt plus this 27.3. So when I open up this, it will be exactly the same equation for what we are looking for. So it means this is a complete sensor or signal conditioning circuit where we can integrate sensor. We can use one operational amplifier which serves two purposes. One as a buffer amplifier or isolation amplifier with the gain 1. Second advantage is it is inverting this voltage into positive to negative 1, so that when it is again get inverted, it gets positive 1 only. So we get V output equal to 10 times the Vt minus 27.3 volt. Now here I want to make one very important note for you people, that is this Vt will never be less than 2.73, or if it is minus, I should write down minus 2.73 to minus 3.23. It is always be between this range. The reason is because our temperature variation is from 0 degree centigrade to 50 degree centigrade. So this value, whatever this EDC, is actually never be 27.3 volt. What it will be? It will be, let's say if it is 3 volt here, so ultimately what we are getting multiplied by this minus this, so V out will never be go beyond 15 volt. Okay, V out will always be remain from 0 to 5 volt. Okay, so that is the advantage. So we are using this power supply, whatever is available with us, dividing here we get this particular relationship, and V naught will never be in the saturation region. It always will be in the range of 0 to 5 volt. Okay, so I hope you understood this circuit and related equations what we have solved here. So these are the reference. I have used all the diagrams and they have been taken from our textbook which has been mentioned in our syllabus, that is a book by Robert Coughlin, and few of the diagrams or theory have been taken from this PDF. So thanks for watching this video. Thank you so much.